Falcha. You've heard of the Great War, you've heard of the Great Depression, and now the Great Resignation is here. Great in numbers of people walking out on toxic work environments, and great in greateriness. Obviously, I think the Great Resignation is brilliant. I may even have started it. I quit my job in April, before it was cool. In fact, I handed my notice in January and I had to work 3 months. So really it was the start of the year that I quit my job. The 3-month thing was kind of annoying because instead of it being this triumphant moment, it was really just the start of a very long bureaucratic process in order to cut myself loose from my misery. Isn't that just a slogan for life? The Great Resignation was coined by Anthony Klotz, an organisational psychologist at Texas A&M University. Somewhere I've never heard of, so good for you, Anthony Klotz. The term came about from the unusually high amount of workers who were quitting their jobs. Apparently, 2.9% of the workforce have quit this year, and I'm one of them. My own reasons are quite similar to the reasons of most quitters. And I say quitters in the most endearing of ways. This was not a throw in the towel moment for me. This was a middle finger in the air moment. Quitter is the new comrade. Generally, people are taking a look at their life and asking themselves, is this the trajectory that I want to be on? And the narrative that the more money you have, the better your life, or that climbing the career ladder is in any way fulfilling, is frankly bullshit. Is not having to worry about money the best? Yes. But the constant pursuit of money grinds away at your self-worth and chips away at your time until you no longer enjoy life. For me, I had to face the truth that the way I was living my life really wasn't making me happy. First of all, did I even decide to do a career? Did I? To follow the traditional path of job, house, family, to settle into where I already live. Did I choose that? Or is it just what you do? I had this moment where I sat back and I thought about how I wanted to focus more on long-term happiness than short-term happiness. Having a good paycheck is great, but I really wasn't enjoying my life and I was just letting it pass me by. I had moments where I was proud of my creations, but I didn't enjoy the stress involved to get there. At my job, there had been so many red flags and issues that I'd avoided along the way in order to keep my life on track. And this was the track of make money, buy stuff, do everything that everyone else is doing. But simultaneously, I started to get into minimalism as a lifestyle. This idea of living with less, only what you need and what brings you joy. And once I stopped spending money on things that I thought I needed or that I bought because it would impress other people, I started to get this sense of peace and I started to feel like, okay, this is actually really manageable and I actually don't need a lot of money to live my life. Once my overhead was lowered, I then began saving. And what saving allowed me to do was plan for a future where I could free myself from all this negativity and stress that came with my job. If anyone is interested in, instead of making a rags to riches story, making a riches to rags story, hit me up. It feels like this is the basis for why a lot of other people are quitting. For a lot of people, the pandemic put into perspective the fragility of life and the importance of quality time. The interesting thing about this is that as a movement, it's never really been seen before. Suddenly, employers don't have the power anymore. And it spans across, whoa, it just got really dark. This is weird. Maybe I've angered the universe with my deviation from the plan. Relying on natural light is the worst. This spans across industries and levels too. The hospitality industry is on its knees begging for staff. Hotels are reducing capacity because they just can't clean the rooms. Bars are only serving food on certain days because they need to give their chefs a rest and they don't have enough people to cover the whole week. And practically every shop has a sign outside looking for staff. And what's great about this is that I've been working since I was 16, so that's 14 years. And Every single job I've ever had, whether it's working with the public, where people are extremely entitled and rude to you, they feel that just because they've walked into a store or a facility in which you work, you suddenly owe them something, like just their mere presence. Even if they aren't spending money, people feel entitled to something and they feel like they can treat you any way they want because they are in plain clothing and you are in a uniform. And it's soul destroying. And then even working in an office and you're not public facing, there's still that hierarchy. There's still that reliance on I can delegate to someone lower than me and they'll just do it. And I even was in a position where I managed people and I still found it too much. It was way too hard to be able to do the amount of work that was given to me. And so it's so refreshing that now the power is finally with the people. For some people, it's about taking a break from work. For some people, it's about changing direction, or it can simply be to recalibrate. One of the advantages of lockdown was that there was less money being spent on a personal level on dining out, on events, on commuting, or even things like clothing. And although that might have been damaging to industry, it gave people on an individual level the opportunity to adjust and start saving and thinking about, I can actually make a change in my life. I love it. I love it when capitalism loses. It's not about being perpetually unemployed. Although if given the chance, it's not that I don't want to work. I absolutely love creating. It's something that I connect to in more than a it makes me money kind of way. So after I left my job, I went into freelance work, which allowed me to select the projects that I really believed in, get back in touch with my creativity, and also travel and work on the go. And at the start of the year, I talked about slow living and how that was something that I wanted to bring into my life a lot more, taking the time to do things well. What I wanted to do in my freelance work was set realistic expectations and not be spending every night and weekend catching up and doing extra and pretending that that was what was achievable in a normal week so that I could just output more and more and more. And that was what I found myself doing in my old job, and I just really didn't want to get back into that habit. My old job had taken so much of my free time and given me so much stress. So this was about recalibration for me fundamentally. And that's something that people who have stayed in their job can work towards as well. For the longest time now, and I've worked in so many companies that do this, when someone leaves or is made redundant or retires, they don't replace them. They just take their work and give it to other people in a department. It could be all the work to one person. It could be spread out across. Either way, there's just a culture right now of, now we don't replace the person, we just get other people to do more work. But it's not like people had the free time to do the extra work in the first place. What you're asking them to do is do everything half-assed and then commit their own free time to work on this. And as much as sometimes you work in an industry or in a role that you really are passionate about, I love filmmaking, I love video editing. And so when somebody asks me to do that professionally, they're going to pay me. It's exciting, but it's not exciting enough that I'm going to dedicate every waking minute to it and start being bad at it so that we can do more. And we've got to a place now where this dissemination is so bad that things just aren't getting done. And employers are beginning to be like, wait, why isn't this crucial thing being done? And it's like, because you gave it to someone who was already doing something crucial. And they couldn't delegate it to anyone else because everyone in the department is working on the critical core of running your business. So you now don't have enough people to function. It's a shame that we had to get there, but it is finally forcing employers to go, fine, we'll hire someone. Don't want to though. It's just crazy that the norm became so much work piling up that everybody was stressed and losing out on their free time. I talked about this in an earlier video about how being busy was like fashionable for a while. And I get that it was kind of like a good excuse to get out of stuff you didn't want to do. But it also became an issue when you actually did want to do something and you just felt too busy in order to do it. And this was such a wide array of things. It was like, oh, I have to do extra work this weekend because I need to catch up. So I'm not going to be able to hang out with my friends who I haven't seen in months. And I think the thing about the pandemic is, before the pandemic, you were kind of like, there's infinite time. I'll be able to see my friends next weekend. I didn't get to come to your birthday party, but it's fine. We'll catch up. Or, I didn't get to see my grandparents this week, but I'll see them sometime. Suddenly with the pandemic, it felt like, what if that opportunity doesn't come back up? What if unfortunately something happens to the people that I love and I never see them again? Am I happy that I chose to work instead of spend time with my loved ones? But anyway, even if you haven't quit your job, I think there is still a lot of value to be there's a lot of value to be found in slowing down. By actually doing a job well in the time that it takes, we're going to get back to a place where working is something that we all enjoy. Working is something that we have pride in, and it's something that doesn't interfere with our personal lives. And I strongly believe that if your personal life is going well, your work life is going to go well as well. I said well a lot there, but it made sense. So the lesson here is kind of go a bit slower. Take the time to do the job properly. Do it for your fallen colleagues. Do it to teach your boss a lesson. And most importantly, do it to dismantle capitalism. Thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this video or maybe learned something. If you know anyone else who would enjoy this video, then please share it with them. Use the video to encourage them to quit their job and become a free spirit like me. But then don't come for me when you run out of money and you can't support yourself anymore, because there's loads of jobs out there, so you'll be fine, you'll find something. You actually have leverage. Or however you want to share it is fine. Again with the darkness. I feel like this is a super moody video. See you next time.